All right. Today, President Trump heading to Ohio, where he's going to tout higher job numbers at a Cincinnati rally. But Democrats still not impressed.
The debate on health care is life-death. This is Armageddon. In terms of the bonus that corporate America received versus the crumbs that they are giving to workers to kind of put the schmooze on, is so pathetic.
All right. Well, the Dems now planning to use this rhetoric in their midterm campaign messaging, but will it work? Here to weigh in on that, our panel, Media DC political analyst Ron Meyer and Democratic strategist Evangeline Gomez. Ron, Evangeline, thanks so much for coming on this morning, guys. We'll start with you, Ron. You know, this has been very interesting to watch this all come through, because as it was proposed and as it got passed, the Democrats were just saying the most ridiculous things I've ever heard about a tax cut. Now that it's coming off as more positive, you hear Chuck Schumer saying we should thank President Obama. What do you think about all the words coming from the left regarding the progress in the economy and the tax cuts in general?
Well, calling this crumbs, I mean, maybe for Nancy Pelosi, who has $30 million in net worth and is the 15th richest member of Congress, it's crumbs. Maybe for someone like Congressman Kennedy, who obviously doesn't exactly come from a poor family, it's crumbs. Maybe for Bernie Sanders, who has 3 houses, it's crumbs. But I think for most real Americans with real jobs and real problems and real expenses, $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 are all really significant amounts of money to be able to help their families. And so when it comes to this politically, you know, we've already seen the Republicans come up from being down 15 points in the generic ballot up to only, you know, being down 2 points in the generic ballot. And I think the best is only yet to come, because remember, many of the tax cuts are just kicking in. And so both politically and economically, Republicans could still see this get better before November.
Evangeline, there was a bit of an unforced error on the part of Paul Ryan that Nancy Pelosi jumped on, and that was that tweet regarding somebody, a woman making an extra $1.50 a week. And that did come off somewhat poorly. What was your reaction to that?
My reaction to it was an admission by him. Yeah. He basically supported her position, which said it was crumbs. The issue here is that she was making the comment in comparison to what corporations received, which were permanent, real tax breaks, at the expense of working Americans like myself and you, who don't take home those types of paychecks. And so that's a really big issue, because the CBO just issued a report stating that we now have an extra $1 trillion in debt. Our economy is saddled with debt because of this tax scam that the GOP has passed. So does it make sense to take home $1.50, an extra $1.50 a week, or $2,000, $3,000 a year, so that you can pay $15,000, $16,000, $30,000 in taxes for the upcoming years? No, it does not.
Well,
If a private business were to do this to a consumer, it would be actionable under local consumer fraud.
Well, Ron, let's put it in another perspective, because I got so many text messages from people that when I told them, I was like, check out your paycheck, because this should be coming in now. A lot of people looked and they said, oh, I'm making another $50, $100 every week or two. And these are people that make $50,000, $70,000 a year. That does make an impact.
Yeah, $1.50 per week does not add up to $1,000. I'm sorry, that math just doesn't work. We're talking about single moms and young families taking home a significant amount of money because the standard deduction just doubled. And so for young families, I'm 28. A lot of folks in my demo are getting the biggest tax cuts by percentage. And so that's a great thing for the American people. I think Democrats are going to have a hard time, and when their candidates are asked, do you really think these tax cuts are crumbs? Do you really think they're pathetic? Because your Speaker of the House, if the Democrats win, thinks those things and wants, by the way, to repeal the tax cuts. The Democrats are saying they're going to run on repealing the tax cuts this November.
Evangeline,
that cannot be allowed to happen.
I want to let Evangeline, real quick, she wants to respond.
These are not tax cuts. This is basically a short-term loan to working Americans that they and their children and their grandchildren are going to have to pay back. Why is it now that we have a $1 trillion
That's what they said about the Reagan tax cuts, and then revenue went up.
Economy, and this is the highest we've had to pay in 6 years, according to the CBO. So that's factual.
I will say there was John Roberts, our wonderful White House correspondent, tweeted out on Friday that the Atlanta Federal Reserve Office is predicting 5.4% growth in Q1 2018. That would be explosive
and that'll help revenue.
We still need a jobs bill and infrastructure. That provides long-term jobs.
We could debate it all day. I do love this topic. I love the economy. Guys, thanks so much for coming on this morning.